Okay, here we go. All right, welcome to HB RV Lifestyle. We're going to get started with this live stream. And if you're joining us, we're both on TikTok and YouTube live. Let's adjust this up a little bit. Okay, let's talk about RV financing. So some of the questions that came up, I have a list of questions that have come up over the last 6 days. So I put this live stream together to answer questions about RV financing, and I had some really good ones. So here's a great one right here from a young lady out in South Carolina. Thank you for the, obviously, she said she's a subscriber. Thank you so much for the follow. Thank you so much for the question. And this is a question I get typically probably at least 10 times a week. Can I do a 20-year RV loan on any RV? And the answer to that is no. There's a couple of factors involved. The first factor involved is the dollar amount that you're financing. So if you're buying a little used $10,000 trailer, $15,000 trailer, then no, you cannot finance for 20 years. If you're borrowing a brand new fifth wheel and you're financing $75,000, absolutely. Excuse me. Pardon me. If you're got an older unit, let's say a 2014, 2015, and excuse me, allergies. Woo. Pardon me. If you're doing 2014 or 15 travel trailer or motorhome or fifth wheel, and you're financing over 50 grand, the answer to that is no. More than likely, you can't. First off, most of the time, you have to be really solid credit or borrowing a new or new-ish rig and be financing over $50,000 to get a 20-year loan. When you have, I call it middle of the road credit. Middle of the road credit to me is like 670 to 740. Generally, a lot of what we use is credit unions and smaller banks because they give you the best interest rates. And usually their max term is 15 years. So the majority of the industry, not all of it, but the majority is like 10 to 15 year terms. So you get 10 to 15 year terms on financing is the average when it comes to like RVs. Average interest rate, which was the second part of her question, is a little of a convoluted question. There's people out there that tell you it's 12% on average. There's people that tell you it's 9%. I'm going to say it's somewhere in between. I've seen a lot of rates in the 9s, the 8s, the 10s. So it's a mixed bag of where interest rates are. And to compound that, it also highly depends on the down payment you're putting. For example, I have a customer that last month only could come up with $500 down. Their interest rate was 19%. I've had somebody who puts 30, 35% down and they end up with a 799 rate. So a lot of the terms and the interest rates are all dependent on the individual. Everybody's a little bit different. Every deal is different. When you go to a car dealership, pardon me, my allergies. When you go to a car dealership and buy a car, there's standard rates across the board. There's program cars. There's programs for first-time buyers. There's programs for each car. Like you can opt out of the rebate and take the low interest rate as an example. There's not those kind of things in RVs and boats. So I hope that answered your question. It's okay. The next question I got, let's cross that one out. The next question, which was a really good one too, thought was interesting, is when will interest rates go down? Right now, I'm waiting to buy an RV because interest rates are too high. When are they going to get back down to the 2 and 3% range again? Well, I think it's going to be a few years. I think it's going to be minimum probably 7 to 8 years before rates get down that low. I mean, we have to get desperate as an economy for rates to get that low. It's only happened a couple of times in our history, and it's been our most recent history. I've been in this business now, since 2008. The average good market, meaning the balance between being able to get a decent price and a decent interest rate, is when rates are right around 5.99, 6.5. You have to understand that rates. How do I put this? I'm trying to put this without sounding like a salesman. Rates, when they're really low, dealerships raise their prices. Manufacturers raise their prices. So if you go do a calculator, let's say you go do a calculator at 2.99, and you take a calculator and you go to let's call it 8.99. There's a payment difference there. And normally they're going to split the difference, right? So you're going to have a rate, let's say at 8.99, but the dealership's only making, let's say, $300 or $400 profit on the travel trailer. While when rates come down, this is what I keep warning people about. When rates come down, the dealership's going to raise their profit margin because the interest rate makes the trailer more payment affordable. So right now, like, a dealership really, really wants to have rates be really low. They want to have like super low interest rates all the way around. Cost of doing business is less. You're able to sell products and make more money. No one, including a dealership, likes high interest rates. So anybody that is buying in this market is getting the best possible pricing. May not be the best interest rate, may not be the best payment, but if you're buying in this market today, you're getting the best price possible compared to when rates will go down. It's just a matter of refinancing. So when if you could find something that you really like and you purchase it, you're going to want to have a plan of attack to refinance it, let's say in 2 years, after all the elections are done, after everything's all like set aside and done. That's pretty much what you want to do. Remember the microphone a little bit. Okay, cross that out. All right. Okay, TikTok. Do we have anybody on TikTok that has any questions right now before I go to the next one? TikTok, YouTube. Anybody got any questions? Pardon my allergies. Okay, in 3, 2, 1. Okay, next question. Oh, looks like nobody. Okay. All right, cross that one out. We already answered that. Okay. Next question I get. By the way, these questions were submitted to levingstonrvservices at gmail.com. I put out an ad to tell everybody they could just send me their questions by email. The next question that I have here is, this is very complicated. So I have, I don't want to use her name. I have really bad credit. My score is around the 580 range. I have $10,000 down, but I don't know what interest rate to plug in to know what I can really afford. I'm trying to get to a $350 payment. From your videos, I assume I'm probably going to need to get into something used. Does your banks take 1099 forms for proof of income. Okay, great question. I have a video on this that I will link later on. First off, when you're around a 580, we can get you a loan. Anybody can get you a loan. The 1099 form is going to be tough. When you're paid 1099, generally no taxes are taken out, and you write off everything like you're a business owner. So you almost pay no tax to the government. What they want to see, what a bank wants to see when, and this goes for if you have good credit and you're borrowing a lot of money. Let's say you're doing a jumbo loan, like a $300,000 or $400,000 loan. Same principle. They want to see what your taxable income is. They want to see what your adjusted gross income is. So you're going to need 2 years tax returns more than likely to get a loan set up with your FICO score. As far as interest rate, I would start at 20%. I would do like a 12-year loan calculator, and I would start around 19.95 or 17.95, somewhere in that range, and just go from there. So if I do one, I can't do one right now, but if I backtrack $350, if I had to take a guess, you're probably around a $20,000 loan, maybe an $18,000 loan at this moment. So you're really looking with 10 grand down, you're probably looking for something between 15 and 20 grand as a selling price. That's what you're really looking for. Great down payment. You're going to get banks that'll look at you. It's just, you really need to focus in on, are you writing everything off? Because if you're writing everything off, it gets really tough to get loans when you're a 1099 employee. It's really rough if you're a business owner, because we're taught, let's be frank, we're taught that when you go into business for yourself, the reason why you go in business for yourself, or the reason why you are a 1099 employee, is because you want to pay less tax to Uncle Sam. You want to keep more money in your pocket and pay the government less. But when it comes to a bank, they want, just like with real estate loans, they want you to like pay taxes. They want to know that you have, that you're, I don't know how to put it, like all these write-offs that you get, like writing off your car or writing off a lease or writing off rent, that all gets deducted off your income. They don't like that with recreational vehicles. They really don't like that with cars. Now, the difference, though, is like in a car, they'll take bank statements. Now, we have a couple of banks, very few. I think maybe one or two that will take a look at a bank statement, but they're very critical of the bank statement. I've maybe in the last 10 years, maybe gotten 4 deals approved on bank statements. I've seen probably maybe a dozen in the last 10 years that actually have taken physical possession of the trailer and gotten the loan funded using bank statements. That's not that many. So it's a little rare, very rare. So if you're one of those folks that's self-employed, probably want to go to your own bank first to get pre-approved before you go to the dealership. Normally, I don't say those type of things. Normally, I tell you go to the dealership to do that. But if you're self-employed, you haven't filed a tax return in 2 years, you filed an extension for 2023 or 2022, and you haven't like figured that part of your life out yet, I would say go get pre-approved with your own bank and then go shopping, and then let the dealer see what they can do. That's the best possible thing I could tell you. I mean, that's just really tough. I mean, the most common 1099 I see is called IEHP. It's home care services. That's the most common I see out in California area, Nevada, Arizona. Those are the most common 1099 employees. And there's nothing wrong with it, guys. I'm not telling you there's anything wrong. I'm just telling you, like, that's the way a bank looks at it. Okay. Let's see. next question. Okay, I'm trying not to say people's names. I like to keep everybody's privacy. How much down payment do I need with great credit to get an interest rate below 6%? Oh, I didn't realize that was on here. I misread that when I wrote it down. I'll answer that. That's fine. Really, it depends on how much you're going to finance. So if you're financing a $200,000 motorhome, as an example, and I don't have those details here, but let's say you're financing a $200,000 motorhome, how do you get an interest rate under 6%? Well, you'd probably want to put on, let's say 200 grand, you'd probably want to put 65, 70 grand down. And then you let the dealership that you're buying it from, get rid of that, sorry. You let the dealership you're buying it from raise the price of the motorhome and allow them to buy down the rate. Works similar how it works in a car. So in a car, they take away your rebates or they take away your discounts when they give you the special Toyota finance rate or the Hyundai financial rate or the GMC financial rate. When they give you like that 2.9 or 3.9% financing for 60 months or 72 months or the 0% financing, you lose the rebate and the discounts for the most part. They might have one or two that still are in play, but the big one, like give you an example. So Hyundai, when I bought my Santa Fe, you either got 2.9% financing over 72 months. This was at the end of 2020. Or you got $7,000 off between rebates. So I took the 2.9 because I already had grinded down a price with the guy. I didn't grind down rebate or anything else. I focused on the selling price of the vehicle. So I took the 2.9% financing. Okay. So it's called a buy down. You're buying down the rate. You're writing a check to the bank. So at 200 grand to buy it from, let's say 7 or 8% down to 5 would probably cost the dealer and yourself probably $65,000, $70,000. That's why I keep saying, like, you guys are asking for a good interest rate, but you don't want to pay the higher price to get that interest rate, right? So, and that's another thing to consider. It's the same thing. Like if you consider the buy down, what it costs to buy down an interest rate, it's almost as if the dealership, when interest rates do physically go down, you kind of get a sense of, wow, they can really jack up the price and keep the payments affordable. And that's a very hard truth to it. Okay. All right. Last question. Looks like I'm going to cut this thing off early today. We don't have anybody in the YouTube live right now. Oh, we have one person in YouTube live. I got one more question here. I haven't heard any from the TikTok live and nothing from YouTube today. So I'm going to go through this last question. We're going to call it a day. Okay. Last question that I got through email. Here it is. What is the difference between going to my local credit union and going to the dealership lot? Won't the credit union give me a better deal than the dealership? Well, yes and no, no and yes. I get people mad at me when I say this, but I'm going to say it anyway. When you use the dealership financing, because you're using one of their we call it preferred lenders, or car dealership calls it the preferred lender. When you use one of our preferred lenders as an RV dealership, we make a little bit of money from the bank. It's not always an exorbitant amount of money. Sometimes it could be a couple $100, sometimes it could be $1,000. If you get 10, 15 loans at an average of $500, that pays a lot of bills. So when you go get your own financing and you don't give the dealership the opportunity to at least see if we can help you out, a lot of times you're not going to be able to negotiate a price because they're losing out on a profit center. So there's three ways a dealership makes money. Okay. The first way is on the purchase price of the vehicle. So you know, if you purchased a vehicle for 45 grand, there's probably X amount of profit. Well, probably not much now, but you know, in a normal market, there's X amount of profit in every deal. Okay. And when you don't have a trade-in and you don't finance with the dealership, those are the other two ways a dealer makes money, is financing and a trade. Then really they only have one area to make money on you. So when you pay cash, or if you get your own outside financing, generally a dealership's not going to negotiate too much because you took away, pardon me, two of the profit centers. Now, some people go, well, that's just BS. No, that's being a business person. If you're in business to make money. It's not a charity, right? So if you have your own company, you make money, you're not a charity. So in this case, if you purchase and take away areas of profitability for the dealership, then yeah, you're not going to be able to negotiate too much. You know, I can tell you from personal experience, unless unless for some odd reason, you know, it's a used piece I can't get financed, I'm not going to negotiate myself too much if it's a cash deal. I had a guy come in, says, God, he came in like 2 months ago. He ended up buying, but he came in and got all mad at me because I wouldn't drop my price because he was paying cash. I had another guy mad at me because I wouldn't drop the price because he got, you know, took out a personal loan because he got a better rate, shorter term, but better rate. I go, I don't have a problem with people making it a cash deal. I'm just not going to negotiate. You know, I got to make every dealer, every business has to make some sort of profit to keep their doors open. You can't keep losing money every time somebody walks in because they're paying cash. That's the expectation that a lot of people have. And this question is a good question. It's not a bad question. So if you're watching, I'm not bashing you. What I'm saying is when you go get your own financing, which is fine. Hey, you know, that's the American way. You know, you got to shop until you drop in some ways. But when you pay cash, okay, or you go get your own outside financing, you lose a lot of your negotiation power on the pricing of the vehicle. It's a fact of life. You know, I got somebody mad at me the other day for the same reason. Like, why won't you negotiate? I'm like, dude, I'm making $800 on a $50,000 invoice trailer. I'm making $800, and you want me to negotiate thousands of dollars more down because you're paying cash? It just doesn't make sense, right? I mean, maybe I'm wrong. Who knows? Maybe I'm wrong. All right. Very interesting, though. It's almost as if people don't want you to make money. Little sidebar, little side notes, because you know I still got about 8 minutes before you know, I'm gonna get going. I gotta get back to work, but a little couple sidebar things. I was talking to a good friend of mine out in Montana. We became pretty good friends when I was with Coachman, and you know, he was telling me about how people are not disclosing a lot to private party sellers. So I'm doing a video on this topic. Right now, what I'm saying and he's saying, and a lot of service centers are saying, is a big common denominator of things. First common denominator we're all kind of seeing right now in this moment, in this era of RV sales, is people are going and buying private party instead of a dealer because of several reasons. In Nevada, Arizona, you go by private party, you don't pay sales tax, as an example, okay? So the equivalent of thinking they're going to save money. And in some cases, you do. There are cases where you do save money if you go buy privately. So we've had 5 people walk into this dealership over the last 8 days, 9 days we've been open. And every one of them have the same story. They went and bought something a month or 2 ago, private party, and there's lots of problems. They weren't disclosed. That when they called, the person goes, "Did you know I had that problem?" "Oh, I had no idea." Yet they probably lived in the coach for a while. One of them, the guy definitely lived in it. We knew the guy who sold it, and we knew the problems of the unit. And the guy didn't disclose the problems to the customer. He kind of rigged everything where everything worked perfectly till he got the check. Be very aware of this, guys. There's a lot of private party people out there that have either been living in the coach or went out and started a YouTube channel and went remotely out and took beautiful videos and a great channel. And now they're selling them because they have to go back to work. They have to go back to a life where they have to go back to an office. And we're noticing a trend with that. And that trend is they're not disclosing all of the problems that a trailer or motorhome may have. Now, here's the interesting part. I always tell people when I sell them, RV stands for toolkit and sense of humor, because it is literally an earthquake on wheels. Now, I got in communication with a young lady that told me that it shouldn't be that way. Well, I challenged her. I said, I challenge you on your next YouTube video to get inside the back of a travel trailer, have somebody hook it up, and go only 20 miles per hour. That's it. Don't go any faster because you'll break her neck. And go tell me whether or not you think you can solve the earthquake at 20 miles an hour, let alone 55, 60, 70, 80 miles an hour. Now, I haven't heard back from her. I'm hoping she does that video because I think it'll give her a unique experience. Because I understand when you spend 150 grand on a car, $300,000 on a Lamborghini or something like that, there's a white glove treatment. I've never been given the white glove treatment. Every time I ever bought a luxury vehicle, which I haven't bought one in probably 15 years, but I was treated like absolute garbage when I went to high-end car dealers to go look at stuff. It was like, "Sir, can you please fill out a credit app before you can even touch the car? You want to sit in the car? Give us a $50,000 deposit. Show us you can actually buy it." So there's no white glove treatment in luxury cars. Until they know you have money and know you have credit, they don't treat you any other way but, hey, don't touch the car until you can prove you can buy it. I mean, I have friends of mine, well, colleagues of mine that have bought supercars. And their first supercar purchase was a horrible one because the maintenance and the expectation from the manufacturer on what you have to do every month or every 6 months or every 12 months or every 18 months. I mean, there's a laundry list of maintenance stuff. So when it comes to an RV is an actual physical earthquake. So I tell people, when I'm selling extended warranties to people, the first thing they think about is their house appliances. You put a refrigerator in a house, how long does it last? It lasts you about 15, 20 years, sometimes longer, depending on the brand, depending on you cleaning it, taking care of it, and certain things, right? But check this out. Imagine you took your household washer, dryer, your household refrigerator, and you put them through a 7.0 earthquake every day, all day. How long do you think that appliance is going to last? How long do you think cabinets are going to stay hung up? How long do you think before certain things are going to go wrong, right? So the bottom line is, if you have something you're selling or you have something you want to trade in or consign at a dealership, be transparent about what's wrong. People love transparency. Every used trailer, every used piece I've ever sold, probably in the last 6-7 years, I don't get a phone call going, "You never told me." I've never gotten that phone call. I always tell people, okay, this is what we know the problem is. We solved everything. This all works. All your major appliances work, but we couldn't find this or we couldn't do this. But I try to get the story of the rig. I've always tried to get the story of where it came from and how it got there. I just sold recently a consignment fifth wheel. The guy had a Rottweiler dog in it. They lived in it with. People were like, "How do you know that?" Well, number one, you could smell the dog inside there. And number two, the guy was very transparent about it. I said, "What's wrong with it?" Because everything works, but cosmetically, my dog chewed on the cabinetry at the lower end and clawed up and destroyed the couch. I'm like, "I'm in, dude. I'll try to sell it for you." As long as I have all that information, it's easy to translate that to the next person, and they have a decision to make whether they want to spend that kind of money on that, or number two, could they live with a dog chewing up a couple of cabinets, a cabinet door missing, things of that nature. When you're transparent with people, it's very easy because, first of all, even if you hire an inspector, here's the problem. You hire an inspector to come out. I've watched a lot of RV inspectors that have a YouTube page that go over to a dealership lot and they spend 40 minutes, look around real quick, and then they collect their money and they leave. I've seen a ton of it over the last 14, 15 years. Ones that call themselves, not the real RV doctor, but I'm talking about people that relate themselves as an RV doctor, as an expert of mechanical beings of the RV world. They're just there to call, "Oh, look, I found a niche that I can collect a check on." So if you are, guys, I've been ripped off on used cars before. I bought a used truck, had a mechanic that was highly recommended on Yelp, highly recommended on Google, highly recommended everywhere, Mr. 5-star review everywhere, and I got ripped off because the truck's engine blew up like within 30 miles of me driving off. And I had no recourse from anybody. I bought a private party. I had no recourse. I was stuck with something I spent $5,000 on that I only wanted to use to just tow a couple of trailers around. And poof. And when I took it to my brother, who's a mechanic, or not my brother, my friend who's a mechanic, he said, "Oh, yeah, well, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong. I'm surprised the guy that inspected the truck for you didn't find those things." So, reviews, you could pay for reviews. That's the thing that I don't like about the internet. When I go research something or research a company, there's a lot of things I factor in. I don't look at just reviews. I worked for a major corporation, a big dealership in California called Giant RV. Our Yelp and Google reviews at Giant RV when I was there was like 1.5 star, 2 star. Is Giant RV still in business? Yes. Why? Because there was a super majority of people that were happy, and the owner and the owner's son did not believe in buying 5-star reviews. There's a lot of companies out there that fork out money to people that buy reviews. Oh, that right there is just about my cue. I've been on this a little bit longer than I thought it was going to be. Anyway, that's it for today. I got a call. I got to get going. But thank you for tuning in. If you guys are seeing this afterward, let me know if you guys have any questions. We're going to do this again every single Saturday, 10 a.m. Pacific time. If you got any questions, email them to Levingston, L-E-V as in Victor, I-N-G-S-T-O-N, RV services at gmail.com. Again, Levingston RV services at gmail.com. If you want your question answered live, if you want to answer privately, just send me it privately through there and just tell me, please just answer private. Okay. Until next time. Thanks guys. Have a good one.